Check, check. Check if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. Yo, what's going on, guys? We're live. Thanks for joining. Um, we're gonna get started on this mix. So, just so you know, for those that don't know me, my name is Ray. I'm an engineer, audio engineer based out of New York, Brooklyn, New York. I've been doing audio for about 21 plus years, a little over, close to 23. I started when I was 13. Um, excuse me. So I'm just doing this to help other engineers, up and coming engineers, people that are learning how to do sound. I figure I can just lend a helping hand when it comes to building a mix, how a mix should sound, how you should EQ things. Um, so thanks for joining, y'all. So type in the chat where y'all from. Are you beginners, amateurs, professionals? Who we got? Who we got? Let me know. I'm gonna just get started. So as you can see here, we got an M32, the most common mixing desk in most small to medium sized churches. It's either this or the Behringer X32. So yeah, this is it. So I'm gonna be mixing a previous concert, album release concert that I did a few years back with an amazing gospel artist and an amazing music producer, Kimmy Jenkins and Champ Jenkins. They gave me the okay to use their concert, so I have the multi-track. Forgive me, I'm sweating. They got the heat blasting in this joint. Let me get the fan. Give me 1 second. Right. So it's an amazing concert. So I got everything kind of zeroed out. I kind of prepped the console. Usually when you about to start a sound gig, you want to be prepared. You know, you don't want to be, unless if something else crazy happens and you're not able to, you don't want to be at the gig starting from scratch. You want to be prepared. So I have here M32 edit, which you can see, and that way you can kind of get a visual of what's going on with the channels. And then I might switch over to this. I know this is kind of blurry. It's the only camera I got. It's more so made for a wide shot, but that's what we got. That's what we're working with. So, all right, let's get started. So I like to know what I'm working with. Let's see what we're working with. All right. So we got We got drums, we got bass, we got guitar, we got stereo keys, we have a Moog or Moog synth. Then we have a keys 2 mono, so Moog and keys 2 is mono, right? And from 17 and up, we have a B3 high, B3 low. We have tracks, stereo. We have mono vocal tracks. We have click. We got an MD mic. Then we have our lead vocalist, Kimmy. And then we have about 6 BGVs, live BGVs. And then we have 2 audience mics, which I might bring up, I might not. I might bring it up, just kind of give like an example for like a broadcast type mix, but we're not going to use that right now. So, and then I also have all of my quote unquote trims. We're going to quote unquote call that gain. We know trim is, or those that don't know, trim is pretty much digital gain. It's not actual mic preamp gain. So I have all my trims all the way down just to kind of like simulate what it's like getting the right gain structure that you need for the channel. By the way, if you have any questions, type it in the chat. I don't see nobody typing in the chat. Who's on here? Where you from? Are you beginners? Are you new to this? Are you professionals? You've been in the game for a long time and you just spectating? Let me know what you're doing. Type in the chat, like, subscribe, whatever. So let's get started. So I'm going to start off with my drums. Start off with kick. So I got a little section looping here right now. As you can see, I have this little section here that's looping. So we have, I'm just looping this measure right now just to kind of simulate me getting a drum sound check. So this is going to keep looping. All right. So I'm going to explain what I like to do. So with my drums, I like to add them to a DCA. I like any grouped or any input channels that are the same source. If it is more than one input channel, I like to route it to a DCA, right? So I don't know if you know this, but quickest, easiest way to route a channel to a DCA on an M32 is you can just hold down, select, and choose and select your channels. So we got drums, we got kick, snare, snare 2, hi-hat, time 1, 2, 3. We got an SPD, and we have overhead left and right, okay? Now, I bring up the faders. Don't hear nothing until I bring up my drum DCA, right? So, another thing I like to do is I like to link my overheads. If it's a stereo overhead, I like to link them. So I'm going to link. So now both channels move together. All right. So let's start off with the kick, right? So I'm going to bring up my gain till I get a good level. Right? All right, then once I got my level I want, I usually like to gate the kick. By the way, this session has really good sources, so there might be situations where you have bad sources where the drummer can't play, or the musicians can't play, or the singers can't sing. That's a whole nother stream for a whole nother day. But in this case, we got good sources, we got killing musicians, we got killing singers, so we have no excuse to to not make this sound good. All right, so here we go. So next thing I like to do is put a gate on the kick. I don't need it constant. I only need the gate to open when he's hitting the kick drum. Right? That'll clean things up. Then I usually like to put a little high pass filter at roughly 30 hertz to clean it up a little bit. Let's turn the EQs on. All right. Another thing I like to do is, before I even go further, I like to take all my drums out of the main stereo. Right? And I like to group them to a bus, a mix bus. And then I like to route that mix bus to the left, right, the main stereo. So in this case, I'm going to use my last two. Mix buses, 11 and 12. Right? I'm going to link these. Right? I'm going to send these to my stereo. I'm going to also add these to my drum, DCA. Right? And then I am going to send my drums, my drum input channels to my mix bus, 11 and 12. So let me work on that. Just so you see, hold on. So I'm going to go over to the sends section. Then I'm going to scroll down to mix bus 11 and 12. Then I'm going to change it from post to subgroup. I don't know if you can see it. It's the little two power symbols. Right? So now that means that kick is now sending. So if I bring up my kick, that kick is now sending to my mix bus. If I select it, you'll see it now. You see signal coming through my mix bus 11 and 12, right? And there's a reason why I like to do that, and I'm gonna explain in a little bit. Right? So let's continue with getting our drums to sound the way we want it. I'm doing some EQing. I'm gonna turn on the EQ, it's already on. Let's turn on the EQ for all our drums. Right, we're gonna turn on the EQ for everything, right? So this kick, I want to just sculpt it a little bit to make it sound a little bit better. I like mainly body and attack, right? Little bump at around 4K-ish, depending on how the drums sound, right? All right, now we're gonna move on to our snare, right? Let's move on to our snare. We need to add our snare to our 11 and 12. So let me add that right now to all of the drums one time. So 11 and 12 group. All right, so now all my drums are now going to this group. All right, so we're gonna go back, adding some gain, right? All right, that's our snare one. There's two snares. He's not playing that as yet. I'll get to that later. I'll probably do the same Well, actually, let me EQ the snare for one. So we got our gain. I like to put a high pass about somewhere around 100-ish, right? And then as you can see, the snare has like a fundamental note, kind of like down here. That's like the body of the snare right here. And then I like to add a little bit of air, a little bit of top end to brighten it up a little bit. All right. Maybe add a gate. Sometimes I'll add a gate. Sometimes I might not, depending on how well the miking situation is. So sometimes I don't like to put gates because I want to be able to catch the ghost notes of the drummer when he plays ghost notes on the snare. Let me go back here. Let's add a little bit more attack. All right, so we got the snare. Let's see what he's not playing the hi-hat yet. So let's go to the toms. Doing the toms, we're gonna high pass toms at around right there. Gate it. Right? Gate, you want to adjust the threshold enough so that it's catching the tom when he hits it and not too much everything else. And then you can take it a step further and do what they call a key in, a key source, where you can kind of like filter the you can filter the fundamental, which is what, let's see what it is. We're about 200, right? So if we go here, set this to 200, right? Set it to 200. And it's kind of just only going to open up when something around 200 hits, all right? You notice it's not really catching most of the snare as much or most of the other stuff, right? So now let's EQ our tom. I like to sculpt the tom to make it sound good. I'm not a fan of this middle stuff. The 500, the 600 hertz, not a fan. And then I'll probably do a quick bump, right? So I'm gonna continue to work on that on the next two times. So you can follow me as I go. Here's the next time. We're gonna gain it up. High pass. Also, guys, if you have any questions, type it in the chat. Right? Let's see what the fundamental is on this. So that's around 100 and something, a little after 100. So let's see. Let's set the key filter to you notice it's only catching it when he hits it now. That key filter is a big help, right? So now all we got to do, let's just add a little bit more attack. Right? Now let's sculpt this with some EQ. Maybe lighten up on the gate just a tad. right? Tom 3. Tom 3 coming up. This one has a more of a deeper tone, right? This dominant tone on this one is around, I would say, between 60 hertz and maybe 200. So let's say we do the gate at, we key it in at about 200. All right, we need to release it a little bit longer, right? All right, so now we got now we have just kick, snare, and the 3 toms up right now. Right? Give me 1 second. We're back. So I see some questions popping up. Again, if you got questions, put it in the chat. So I got a question that says, do you use any insert effects on the stereo bus for the drums? So I do use effects, and I'm gonna get to it. As soon as I get the drums dialed in, I'm gonna show you what I do with this stereo bus here, my drum bus, right? We're gonna get to that in a second. All right, so let's see what the overheads are doing. Right, here we go. So overheads are already panned left and right. Speaking of panning, I like to pan my toms from the audience perspective. So the highest tom, I'll pan that to like my right. Middle tom, a little bit in the middle, or maybe a little bit to the left. Floor tom, more so to the left, to kind of give a audience perspective of where the toms are. Right now, what I like to do with the overheads, I like to high pass it, and then I like to compress the heck out of it with a fast attack and a fast release. See, it's a lot of gain reduction happening right now. Then I like to bring it up a little bit. Right? So now, EQ wise, I'll probably tame some of the 3K, the harshness. Right? Now I'm going to add some more hi-hat gain. I'm just gonna high pass the hi-hat for now until we get to it. And the snare too, about 100 hertz for now, until he's playing it. So now we got something going with the drums. Drums don't sound bad, right? So now let's add some depth. Let's add some depth to the drums. I like to use a drum plate on my snare and my toms. So let's see. I have a effects return. What am I doing? on my effects 3. And I like to use, so most important effects you need in a mix is a vocal verb, vocal delay, and a drum plate. That's literally the most important stuff you need. So I'm gonna change this into some type of plate. So let's say it doesn't have to be a plate. It can be like a gated verb or whatever floats your boat, right? So I'm gonna use this rich plate verb, right? And I'm going to send my drums. Actually, I'm gonna send my return to my drum plate return. Send that over to my drum DCA as well, right? And then I'm going to start sending the drums to the effects. Sending the drums. I'm gonna send my snare and my toms to that drum plate. So let's do that now. So that's my bus 15. And we're gonna do snare, maybe a little snare 2, and toms, right? So now, so you can see what I'm doing. So basically I have this is my bus 15. This is my third effects slot, my third effects bus. So I'm selecting that fader flip, and I'm sending my snares, because I got 2 snares, and my 3 toms. All right, let's see what that sounds like. And then I have this knob here as a return fader for my drum plate. So that way I don't have to keep flipping faders to I don't have to keep flipping faders to get to my drum plate volume, right? So as you can see, as I'm turning this knob, you can see these faders here going up and down. All right, so let's see what this sounds like. So I'll start bringing it up. Oh, almost forgot. Also, we need to send the drum plate to the drum group, right? Let's send the drum plate to the drum group. So we got our drum plate selected. Go over to our sends, right? It's kind of hard to kind of switch video stuff and then do this, but anyways, we're gonna send this to our 11 and 12 group. We're gonna take it out of the main left and right. Okay, so now you can start hearing, like it sounds like the drums is in a nice arena or something, right? Then you can kind of EQ it. You can kind of EQ it a little bit, so you don't have the high pass, low cut, or initially from the preamp area. So you got to do it from here. So you turn it on, select your low frequency band, and then you can change the band type. So we're going to change it to a high pass. This is just our drum plate, just to clean it up a little bit, right? All right, so now we have a decent drum sound going. All right, now let's take it a little further, right? We can make these drums smack even better than how they smack now, right? So that's where my drum bus comes in, right? Let me relabel this. So I like to label it drum group, right? So now, if I mute my drum group, it goes away, right? So now, what I like to do now is I like to take the drum group and EQ that, right? I'll put a high pass like maybe 30 to get rid of the super low end mud that we don't really need, right? Then I'll go to like my low mid band and add a little bump on about 50 something hertz to give it a little bit more low end, right? Let's make an adjustment to some stuff. Right? So back to our bus. Then I like to kind of tame some of the harshness, add a little bit of top end. Then what I like to do is parallel compression on the drums. So I'll do something like this. I'll compress the heck out of it. Quick release. Somewhat fast attack. And then there's a knob here that says mix that you can change. I don't know if you see it, but this right here is a mix knob. So you can choose how much of that compression you want. So I'll do like a 35%. Right? Now I might want to add maybe a little bit more low end on my drums. Now, mind you, this all depends on the space you're working. Right now we have the luxury of just playing this stuff back and we just doing a sound check, technically a virtual sound check, but these techniques, I would highly recommend that if you do these techniques that your PA is tuned properly. I've been to spots where the PA is like horrible, and you can't really make it sound good because the PA is trash. But if you got a good PA to work with, a good system with a good amount of headroom, and speaker placement is right, you should be able to do whatever you need to do from the console, right? So let's keep it moving. So we got our drums. I might want to pull back some of the overheads a little bit. Right? All right, so we got drums. Let's move on to bass. Let's see what bass is doing. Right? I'm going to put bass on a DCA because I like to put my bass on a DCA. Whether if it's just the one bass or if the bass player has multiple stuff, like he has a synth bass, whatever. I like to have stuff on the DCA so that way when I'm on another fader layer, I don't have to worry about switching back to another layer to get to my bass to adjust the level. I can just adjust the level straight from my DCA right here. All right, so let's see what bass is doing. Let's bring up our gain. It's a good sounding bass. I'm gonna stop looping it. I'm gonna just let it play. So we got right. Bass sounds pretty good. Now, if a bass sounds good, you shouldn't have to do too much to it. Again, It's important to know your sources. Like if whoever's playing, they should know how to get their bass to sound good. All right, tone is everything. That goes for everything: drums, bass, keys, guitars, vocals. Tone is everything. All right. So I like to compress a little bit in parallel compress. Right. Okay, let's see what guitars are doing. I add the guitar to my guitar DCA. All right. This is Marcos Robinson on guitar, by the way, so we already know this is going to sound killing. All right, we gain it up. Again, if you got questions, type it in the chat. Let me know what's up, who's watching. All right. So we got guitar. Let's see what guitar and bass sound like. All right. I'm going to high pass the guitar. Just got to be careful of the high mids. We don't want the mix to sound shrilly. I'll do a little bit of compression. So let's see what drums, bass, and guitar sound like. All right, that sounds pretty good if you ask me. So let's see what keys is doing. All right, so just rolling back. So we got keys. I like to, any stereo track that I'm working with, I'll always link it. So now I don't know if you noticed, but these keys sound a little crunchy. So that's actually coming out from the keyboard. So my mic pre's weren't clipping, but some keyboards, when you start layering sounds, they don't realize that it pushes the level above the 0 dB mark. And this was a not a Kronos, it was a Montage. And Montage by default pushes out plus 6 dB. So not a lot of people know about the plus 6 dB gain from the keyboard itself. But it gets better later on down the line. But anyways, so here's keys. I'll do a high pass about 100. And then I also want my keys in my keys DCA. I'm not even paying attention to these cameras. So yeah, I want these keys in my keys DCA right here. So again, hold down the select on the DCA and select what you want. And I'm gonna put all the keys in my DCA, right? So we got drums, we got bass, we got our keys, and I'm gonna just go ahead and put my organ in there one time. Then I like to do a band fader, right? Now this is literally the whole band. So drums, bass, guitar, keys, all of that stuff. And I'm gonna put tracks in here one time, right? So I'm going to select tracks, link that, because it's stereo. And I'm gonna just put the tracks in the band DCA. So now, as you can see, I'm bringing up my bass, my drums, my bass, my keys, DCA, my guitar, DCA. You don't hear nothing. Well, if I bring up my band DCA, right? And then I have my tracks. Right? Right? So then I bring up my band DCA. Right? So I like to, when I do, let me turn myself down a little bit. So when I'm mixing, there's layers to stuff, right? I have a bunch of I have a bunch of sources coming at me, right? I have drums, I have bass, keys, guitars, vocals. We're gonna get to the vocals in a second, but it's a lot going on, and there's layers to things. So you want to have, and this is why I always tell people, like, it's important to like have an ear for music. You gotta have an ear for music to do this. If you don't have an ear, it's gonna be tough, and the mixes are not gonna sound good. So I usually like to have my drums. So like the foundation stuff of a band is drums, bass, keys. So that's got to be present. The drums, bass, keys got to be present in the mix, right? And then you just got to know how to blend it. Drums need to be up. Right? Depending on the type of songs, drums need to be up. Or some songs, maybe ballads, you could probably tuck the drums a little bit. Keys need to be up because that's how people know what key the song's in or whatever. It's for singers, whatever. So, right? Then guitar. Switch these cameras. So you got right. So let's see what the tracks. Well, no, let's see what organ is doing. Right. So we got organ. So that's my tracks. I'm gonna pull that back. So organ high and low. So that was mic'd. Right. Let's bring up our gain. This is the organ high. So we can filter out. Can filter out a lot of that mud. Okay, this is where most of the action is happening for our organ, right? It's a lot of noise because the crowd is like, the Leslie was like right next to the crowd. It was kind of crazy, but it worked out. So we go back. So we got that. Let's see what our organ low is doing. So organ low is kind of just low. It's not really much going on. So I'm going to high pass it about maybe 50. And then I'm going to use a low pass because I don't need all this stuff up here. I need somebody to switch video for me. I'm tripping. All right, anyways, I'm going to low pass my organ. Low, my organ low. So then now when I blend it, or in this case, because usually an organ high should have 2 mics on it and the organ low is 1, but in this case, there's only 2 mics on the organ. So what I might do is I might do something like this, where I might not low pass it as much, but I'll do both, and then I'll pan one side. I might pan organ high, a little bit to the right, organ low to the left. Right? So now let's see what that sounds like with the keys. Alright. So we got organ in the mix now. Alright, so now when you're dealing with stuff with tracks now, you want to make sure the tracks is up. So I'm gaining up my tracks right now. As you can see, I have that selected. I'm gaining up my tracks. Let's see what tracks sound like. Right? And I'm going to put these here. Because the tracks is going to kind of just put the finishing. It's going to be like the icing on the cake for the band, right? So now if I go back, and play it.
Fearfully.
Right, here we go. Now we got tracks in the mix now. We got tracks in the mix. Make sure the tracks is up. Tracks got to be up. That's a lot of elements in the song, in the music that you need. Tracks up. Okay. Now my drums, I want my drums to hit more. So what I usually like to do is I like to add a certain effect on my drums. I like to add, what is this called? Let me go to the effects home for a second. I'm going to change this one to hold on a second. All my stuff is like on a different screen. 1 second. All right, so let me check something real quick. All right, so I'm going to take my effects 8. I'm going to change that to a fair comp, a stereo fair comp. Right? Set that. So as you can see, we got the fair comp. And then we're going to insert these, or insert this plugin into the mix bus 11 and 12. Right? That's where my drum bus is. and we're gonna insert it. 11 and 12, insert. Okay, now, because there's still a lot of life in the drums that we can. Right, so I just went back to another section in the playback. Okay, so let's play it. All right, I'm gonna. So I'm going to bring it up a bit. Right? We can make our floor tom sound a little bit better, because right now that's not even EQ'd. So let's EQ our floor tom. All that stuff in between, that 600, that's all just stuff you don't really need. You want the toms to sing out. All that stuff in between is just like resonant noises. So I'm gonna play back that section again. Right, so. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll probably push the toms up louder a little bit, depending on how much I really need in the mix. Have to put too much EQ on the bass, because the bass tone is pretty good as it is. If anything, if you want to boost a little bit of the 500, kind of get that mid grit. Right? So we got a band mix going, right? All right, let's bring up the rest of our keys. All right, so we got a band mix going. All right, so we're gonna move on to vocals. Let me know if you're enjoying this so far, if you learned anything, if you got any more questions. I'm kind of just like my first time doing this live stream, so I'm gonna improve some stuff. I kind of know what I gotta do now. But anyways, if you got any questions, feel free to type it in the chat. Again, I don't know who's in here. Let me see. We got Josu. Josu, what's up, bro? Jonathan Lopez. We got Phil Sounds. We got Tristan. We got Carrie Smith, CF Smith. What's up, man? What else? Who we got? Oh, that's just Jiffin. What's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. I don't know who else is here, but let me know if you're enjoying it. If you like it so far, like, subscribe. I'm just trying something new. All right, so let's move on. So we got something down under a little bit under an hour. So imagine having to do this much faster. You know, when you're in a live situation, you got to be able to do this fast. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's always important to have your show file already laid out, made, or your channels labeled out, or your routing, how you want things to be routed, because that cuts half the time to get a mix going. That cuts the time in half. That's like half your battle, right? So, you know, you get your show file ready, know what's going on, know your input list, who's playing, how many singers, how many mixes you got going on, how many, you know, are you doing monitors in front of house? Are you doing just front of house? Are you doing just monitors? It's good to know all the information beforehand. So let's move on to vocals. So in this case, I usually just have the vocals routed straight to the main.
You're good and perfect will.
Right? So let's actually start off with BGVs first before we do the lead, right? So we have track vocals, right? We got track vocals, and then we got live BGVs. So let's see what each person is doing.
Completely.
Right? We got this one.
Completely.
Here's another one.
Completely.
Got alto section.
Completely.
Right? It's a lot of stuff going on.
Completely.
Then we got some tenor.
Completely.
Right?
Completely.
All right, so let's kind of sculpt how these vocals sound. So let's EQ them. So automatically, I'm going to do a high pass on all my microphones, at least starting at 100, at least. All right, so I'm going to just select them all, turn them on. Right, turning them all on. No, that's my audience mics. Don't need that. All right, so and then let's turn the EQs on for these. Right, then all right, so the way I like to EQ vocals is everybody's going to sound different. Nobody's going to sound the same, right? Some people are going to have a tinny voice, piercing, a bassy voice, a mid-range voice. It all varies. So you're going to have to kind of EQ as you go, depending on how that person sounds. So let's see. This person here, let's see. Let's take a listen.
I'm yours.
So
Completely.
so she has like a high, like a
Completely, I am yours.
like a 2K,
Completely.
and then I'll try to,
My body and my soul.
and then I'll probably do like a little compression.
Completely, I am yours. Completely.
Right? Let's do the next one. Let's see what this one sounds like.
I am yours.
So she has like a bright voice.
I am yours completely.
All right. I like to have all my BGVs on a DCA. That's a must for me, right? BGVs must be on the DCA for me. So I just added them to my DCA so that way I can bring my faders up to unity and then kind of just,
Completely.
right?
Completely. Completely.
Let's finish EQing.
Completely.
Let's see what this person sounds like.
Completely. Completely.
Usually a lot of singers have like a lot of piercing type timbres. So I kind of just sculpted a little bit. All right. This is kind of like the way I kind of EQ my microphones a little bit, depending on.
I am yours.
So that one, guys, she has like a high 2K ish, right?
I am yours completely.
Okay. Let's see what he sounds like.
I am yours.
His is a bit warmer, right?
I am yours.
All right, so I'll probably just tame some of this low end here a little bit. Let me just go over to another section.
I will praise the Lord.
This is a whole nother song.
I will praise the Lord in the heavenlies. I will praise the Lord for his mighty acts, for he's excellent in all
Right,
his ways.
just EQing.
I will praise
Just set
the
my
Lord
EQs.
in the sanctuary.
So now let's see how they all sound.
Lord in the heavenlies, I will praise the Lord for his mighty acts, for he's excellent in all his ways. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord.
So we got some killing BGVs here. They singing. Ain't nobody whispering.
That has breath praise the Lord.
Right? So what I like to do now is I like to add some verb to them. Give them a little bit of like a sense of depth. Right? So I'm going to use, let's see what we have here. So we have a vintage room, bus 13. All right, cool. So let's use bus 13. So I am selecting my bus 13, doing my fader flip, right? And I'm gonna send my verb to the vocals, right? Then what I'm gonna do, come out of fader flip. Then I'm going to go to my effects returns, and I'm going to assign them to a DCA. So I like to do a verb DCA, just so I don't have to keep going back and forth, right? And I like a delay DCA again, so I don't have to go back and forth. I don't have to keep switching back and forth between layers to get what I need to get, right? So let's see. So let's unmute our vocals.
I will praise the Lord.
Verb.
Give praise. Give praise. Give praise. Praise the Lord.
All right, so
Give praise.
it
Give praise.
don't have to be crazy high, but just enough to give it some
Praise
type
the
of,
Lord.
all right? And then we add the band in.
Give praise. Give praise. Praise the Lord. Give praise. Give praise. Give praise.
Right?
Praise the Lord. I will praise.
So we got BGVs. Usually I like to put my BGVs in a group as well and then EQ that. So like, for example, I'll show you now as an example. So we have and then normally you can only really do this if you have free buses to use. Like in this case with this M32, I don't have to worry about mixing monitors or anything like that. I don't have to worry about utilizing other buses for something else. Right now we're just home, we're just playing back and we're experimenting, right? So let's say in a real world scenario, I can't talk. Let's say you're only doing front of house, right? You have a bunch of mix buses to work with because you don't have to worry about sending stuff to the stage, maybe some tracks or something, depending on what's going on. But anyways, you got a lot of free mix buses. You got 12 free mix buses to work with. So you could now you have a little bit more flexibility to do stuff with like groups, drum groups. Then you could do like a background vocal group. You could do a band group. That way you can EQ that and compress that to make it glue together. You want the drums to you want the mix to kind of like just glue together. And then, so for example, I'm going to just use this as an example. So I'm going to take my mix bus 9 and 10. I'm going to link those. So now we have a stereo. I'm going to send that to my main bus, right? I'm not going to rename this because we know, okay, this is drums. This is my drums, my drum group, and then this is my background vocal group. So I'm going to assign these background vocals. I'm going to take it out of the main left and right, right? And then I'm going to assign them to 9 and 10. So as you can see, let me see, make sure you can see what's going on here. I'm sorry, this is all blurred. This particular camera is blurry. It's the only camera I got as far as like a little tiny camera to get the screen. Anyways, so once I select, I can just change these to group. Right? So now when I go back to my bus, wait, I'm missing one mic. Hold on. Group. Oh, that's the verb. Okay, so yeah. So now if I go back to when the vocals come in,
the heavenlies, I will praise the Lord.
So now I can take my
I will praise the Lord.
I can take my background vocal group and EQ that and make that.
Let everything that has breath praise the Lord.
I can make it sound nicer and a little bit more sweeter.
Let everything that has breath
compress it as a group so they can kind of glue together.
Give praise.
Right?
I will praise the Lord in the sanctuary. I will praise the Lord in the heavenlies.
Right? So, all right, so we got some questions here. Let's see what's going on. So, hold on a second. So we got a few questions that came up. So, when it comes to, we got one from Josu. My computer monitor is like far away. So, let's see. When it comes to acoustics within a space, how much does that affect how you want the mix done? So that the acoustics of a space can have that can make or break everything of how everything sounds in your mix. Because if you're in a space with bad acoustics, you're gonna have nothing but acoustical reverb just all over the place. You want a room that's decent, that's not going to give you more than 2 seconds, 3 seconds of like a natural reverb. You want a room that sounds kind of nice and tight. So depending on the situation, if you're in a room that has bad acoustics, you're going to have to make adjustments to the mix and the space to get it to sound somewhat decent, you know. There's a lot of spots, a lot of churches and stuff that have bad room acoustics. They don't treat the room. They don't get the panels to treat the room. What else? We got how do you approach blending BGV? So I approach it as depending on what's, you know, how many singers and the parts. Like, I like to make sure that the way I have my mics laid out, or the way I give out the mics to the BGVs, like, okay, there's soprano, alto, tenor. I approach whichever song, depending on the song, whoever's singing melody, that'll probably be the loudest. Whatever part is technically melody, that will kind of be the loudest in the mix, and then everything as far as harmonies, that'll like be tucked right underneath. And I just the way I approach the BGVs is I like to kind of blend each vox. So okay, so there's, how can I put it? So everybody sounds different. So there's singers that sing loud. There's singers that sing soft. There's singers that be whispering, you don't hear nothing from them when you solo their mic on the mixer. So usually those I just mute them or pull them down because they're not singing. It's pointless. It's like a wasted mic. But what I usually do is I try to use my gain structure. I take my gain. Once I find the right gain structure for one, I kind of try to match the rest. And then that all can vary depending on whether or not they sound good, if they can sing or not. Usually the ones that can't sing, I tuck them way down. But when you're in a situation where like everybody can sing, everybody's killing, your best bet would be to just match gains. Even though, okay, one person might be louder than the other, use your gain to kind of like match the difference, or to kind of like blend the difference in volume, you know. That way you kind of get a more solid blend of everyone together, you know what I'm saying, if you get what I'm saying. You can try that. Let's see what else we got. CF Smith, what is your approach to panning the live BGV spread? So sometimes I pan them, and then sometimes I don't, right? Sometimes I do something different. Like, for example, for those of you that don't know, I mix front of house at Brooklyn Tabernacle, right? So crazy example is I have to I have to mix a bunch of microphones. So they have the smaller choir group now, and that's like it's going to be about 41 wireless microphones. I have to mix 41 wireless microphones. And what I usually do is I notice when I pan vocals, certain people stick out more depending on which side you pan it. So what I usually like to do is I keep them all centered, right? But then I'll add a like a chorus, almost like a chorusy effect, like a H3000. What do you call that? I can't think of it right now. Anyways, it's like a chorus effect that kind of simulates like a choir, almost like it takes the signal, it delays it, and then it changes the pitch. And then what I do is I take that and then I'll pan. So like there's ways you can pan the first delayed signal and pitch signal, and you can pan the other. So I'll take that and I'll use that kind of like as my stereo blend of the vocals. Yes. So yes, the H3000, like for example on the Ravage, the H3000 plugin, that joint works wonders for me. That's how I usually blend, like for example the choir at Brooklyn Tab. So it kind of varies. You kind of have to be careful with it because you don't want certain people to stick out, especially if they don't sound good. But if you want to blend, if you want to pan BGVs, maybe do a little bit, maybe like slightly to the left, slightly to the right, but I wouldn't do crazy hard panning. So that's that. So let's continue, and then let's continue. So let's see what the BGV sound, and then we're gonna add the lead vocal, and then I think we'll wrap it up, and then I'll give you info on the next live stream I have coming up. All right, so. Right. All right, let's see what the lead vocals sound like. All right, so I'm going to keep everything in. I'm going to just bring her up.
Fill me with your glory, the power of your might. Reveal to me your good and perfect.
All right. I pass it around 100 or 200, depending on what.
But your will, Lord, I'm yours. Surrendering my life. I'm yours.
Right, sculpt it.
Empty out this vessel. Completely I am yours. Completely. My body and
so just so you know, there's track vocals too. So let's see what that sounds like. So
I belong to you completely.
So sometimes the track vocals can help, sometimes they don't. But why not? You can use it. Right? So
Lord, I'm committed
right.
to your will.
And then I like to do verb on the lead vocal. So I'm gonna go straight to 13 and bring up verb.
Reveal to me your good and perfect will. Not my will, but your.
And then I also like to do a delay, vocal delay. So let's see. I have my vocal delay here. And then I need to make sure I have it selected in my effects. Make sure I have it ready in my effects. So effects 2, stereo delay. Make sure you have a tap tempo ready. So I'll do time. So see, now it's blinking. I can tap the tempo. Right, so let's bring her mic up on. Right, so
I wanna be pleasing in your sight, Lord. I am yours. Hey, I am yours, Lord. Yeah. I am yours. Hey, completely yours. Ooh, yeah,
tap the tempo.
I'll be completely yours.
then just, as you have a mix going, you can just fine tune things, fix the drum, fix something with the drums you might not like, something with the vocals, and then you just mix as you go.
I wanna be made whole. I wanna be made whole. From the crown of my head to the sole of my feet, I wanna be completely yours. I need to know, is there anybody out there that's not ashamed to say, I am yours, Lord. I am yours, completely yours.
And then you can start panning some elements like guitar. All right.
Come on, shout out to the Lord and give us some triumph. Come on. Come on, clap your hands like this. Oh, we came to give them all that we got.
Fine, just continue to fine tune stuff.
Somebody say
See.
completely. Let me hear you say completely. I'm here to give them all that I got. Hey, somebody say completely.
All right, so we just built the mix. We built the mix from scratch. Any questions? Anybody got any more questions? Let me know if you enjoyed this. I'm kind of just starting this. This is something new. I've never really streamed like this online. Let me know if you were feeling this, if I should do another one. Any questions? So if you want to send some multi-tracks, some previous recorded multi-tracks for me to kind of see if I can get a mix going with, I'm gonna put up some information on my Instagram on how to do that. I'll send that info soon. But I hope y'all learned something from this. It's just important to, I feel like too with sound, it's like you gotta care. I might be rambling now, but you gotta care. You know what I'm saying? You, like me, I have a passion for this, so I'm gonna care about how things sound. I've seen dudes that just don't care. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, just bring it up. Okay, it's working. Whatever. But it be sounding whack, and they don't care. So it's gonna be there's gonna be a big difference from the engineers that actually care about how things sound and the ones that don't. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap it up because it's getting late. And thanks for joining, y'all. Man, I appreciate the ones that came to watch, man. Like, thank you for watching this. So just subscribe to my YouTube. I'm gonna try to put some more content out. It's been crazy. My schedule's been crazy. I got some goals this year I'm trying to achieve. So thank you guys so much for watching. So I'm gonna wrap it up. God bless everyone, and hit me up on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube. Well, yeah, follow me on YouTube, like this, subscribe, and then also just follow me on the IG. Those that don't know, I have two IGs. One, obviously, Radiant Sound Systems. That's my business Instagram, and then I have another IG. It's kind of like my main personal IG. This is Ray Mixed It. follow me on Instagram. Hit me up. I'm always down for like helping people out. If you need an engineer for an event, hit me up. Um, if my schedule permits, I can help out. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna cut out. Stay safe, stay warm, cause this New York weather's crazy. And yeah, peace.